Zoom at all, right?
Turn this loud ass heater off. All right, so welcome everyone. If you're here watching, I'm watching. Yeah, so today, as we said, we're gonna talk about the game playability system. I'm with Seth from Boss Rock. Hey, Seth. Yeah. So Seth's been working on this course now for a while, and I'll just tell you a little bit about him, and maybe he can introduce himself as well. But a while ago, I was doing some mentoring, some Unreal Engine mentoring, and Seth reached out to me and wanted to talk about a game he wanted to make. And I realized, like, almost immediately, like, holy crap, this guy's really smart. We worked together for a few months, and then, I think we both got busy with other stuff, but he reached out to me maybe, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago and said, hey, I want to do a course on gas. I think it'd be really cool. And I told him I had this YouTube thing going now, and we decided to kind of collaborate together on it. But to be honest, he put most of the work into it. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, he basically made this course. It's a little bit different than what you're used to if you've been watching my YouTube channels. And essentially, it's going to be a little bit more interactive. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I wanted to give Seth a chance to just kind of introduce himself and talk about what he wanted, what his goals were with the course, and then we can kind of transition into what it's going to be.
Yeah, so hey, I'm Seth. A little bit about me is that so I have a pretty varied career in programming. I did lots of computer science stuff for various academic purposes and science and things like that. And I swapped to game dev just because it ended up being super fun and became very passionate about it. And so yeah, like Jim said, we met over mentoring / freelance work, and I was having him help teach me how to do a lot of stuff. But then I saw the Lyra sample project, which maybe many of you have seen, and it seemed like a very, I don't know, as super complex, but it seemed like a good base for a game. I've come to find out that it was not a good base for a game, but it helped teach me GAS, the game playability system, and I found that to probably be the most useful thing in all of Unreal Engine. It's the most useful thing I've found. So the thing that I'm hoping to teach or hoping to do different, right? There's a lot of GAS resources out there, but I think a lot of them are built for people who are way smarter than me, is what I'll say. People who just have a really strong background in programming and coding, and they know just a whole lot more than I do, right? And so I see myself more as like a maybe game designer as opposed to a game programmer. Like people will start talking about super efficient like shaders and things like that for tech art and all this sorts of stuff, and I get totally lost. I have no idea, right? But I can still use gas and use these other tools available to still program out some pretty cool stuff. I still do some things in C++ and I do some things in Blueprints, and so I feel like my coding's strong, but not quite as strong as others. And I feel like you don't really need to know everything to be able to use gas, right? Just like we don't need to know all of C++ and assembly to know Unreal Engine from the ground up, right? So this gas workshop is going to be focused more on tools and building tools, right? So what I mean by that is I'm going to show you like what gas is and how it works, and then how to think about the design of a game, and then show you how you can build some super complex stuff in like minutes, right? Um, and the final goal is that you'll know enough of gas that you can then engage with those maybe more advanced materials and subjects and on the various discords, etc., and know what you're talking about, right? So you'll be able to like enter into that world and navigate that space, hopefully in a lot more of a clear way.
Nice. Yeah. So let's. I'm going to go to this next one. We'll just go through these slides. So, and I don't know if you actually can see this. So, I could just talk through it real quick. But basically, like, what is gas? So the gameplay ability system is something that's built into Unreal Engine. It's been built into Unreal Engine for a long time, but I don't think that there was a lot of like visibility to it. People knew it was there. No one really knew how it worked, and like all these different people were basically like trying to figure it out. There was a very famous person called Trainik who basically wrote an entire documentation on how it works, and basically that kind of got people thinking about it and how they could use it. And now it seems like there's a few more resources, but all of them kind of confused me. And it wasn't until I started talking to Seth that I really started to gain an understanding of it, and almost was like, man, I wish I'd known about this like earlier, because I've spent so much time building systems that were basically just already part of gas. So basically what it is, it's a framework for building like attributes, abilities, interactions that an actor can own and trigger. And it's very like modular. You can like add things and remove things very easily. This is perfect for like a role-playing game, action adventure games, MOBAs. That's really what it was like designed for. And like Fortnite uses like a modified version of it as well. But what I found like by talking to Seth is like really you could use it for so many things. Like one of the things is like all the projects that we make in the Blueprints course, if you were to put gas in them, like a lot of the things that we spent time building are just kind of already there for you, and you don't really got to put all this work. You just basically use gas and tell it what you want it to do. So Seth, do you feel like that kind of sums up what gas is?
Yeah, so just a little bit more explanation, I think, on what these things can do. It's a handler for all of your stats and how to increase them, how to decrease them, to do so temporarily, or only increase this stat if this other status effect is present. Like there's tons of super complex interactions that are already handled for you. You can think of gas like you came and like hired some very professional programmer to build the framework for an RPG for you, like some toolkit on the marketplace, so that you can go and then make your game. You can kind of think of gas as like a professional version of that. And
Yeah.
again, just like Jim said, they made this for Paragon, right? I think it's where it started, the Paragon MOBA. And they found that it was like, yeah, so useful that they actually built Fortnite on top of it. So it became one of those things that was just like, wow, this is like a super beautiful, like, framework that really can run any kind of game. Shooters, I mean, people make arguments sometimes like, oh, it's your game's not that complex, you don't really need gas. But I would argue that if you know gas, I don't see a reason why. Like, I can't think of a game I would want to make that wouldn't benefit from it to some degree. So
Yeah,
yeah,
very cool.
definitely think it's the strongest thing in Unreal Engine.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then one of the things, as we were talking to Seth, and maybe you could speak to this, but like, what is Gas Companion, I guess, and how did you come to arrive to this as a tool?
Right. So yeah, Gas Companion is a marketplace asset made by MK Labs, and it just does a lot of the boilerplate for Gas. So Gas requires some C++ to set up, right? You have to go define some stuff, add these components in C++, and it's really not bad, right? Like there are resources, you can learn how to do this on your own. You can do it all from scratch. I have done it from scratch for my own game, and it was like totally fine, but it's time consuming. So Gas Companion just has a lot of functionality built in that's like, oh yeah, that's such a good idea that in my own project, even though I made my gas-based project from scratch, um, I ended up going into Gas Companion all the time and just like copying out whole functions because it was just super useful. Some examples of the thing that it handles are like ability inputs. So the idea being, you know, an ability is on cooldown, right? So I have my ability 1, my ability 2. So I'm using ability 1 and I'm mashing ability 2, right? Because I want it to be used. What it does is it will actually queue up those abilities, or has this functionality if you want to use it. You can queue up abilities so that it knows that as soon as ability 1 is off cooldown, it will then fire off ability 2.
Wow.
Which is just like a quality of life feature that shows up in some AAA level games. Kind of hard to like. I mean, that's hard for me to even fathom. Like, how would I go about designing that?
Right.
With gas and stuff. But it's already built in. So there's tons of little features like that, getters all over the place, stuff for UI and examples on how to like do X, Y, or Z. So even if you don't use it as the base of your project, it's like probably the best resource that you could look to for a reference. And it's only like, I don't know, like $50 or something like that. So
Yeah.
um,
I
it
think
would have
I got it
saved
on sale
me.
for like $20 or something once.
Yeah, yeah. It would have saved me multiple, like, I mean, probably like dozens of hours of
Right.
implementation time had I just built it, used it from the start.
Yeah. Very cool. So for your course, you're using Gas Companion. Like, how did you kind of arrive at wanting to do it that way? Because if you're making a course, a lot of times I try to make things free, but you and I talked a lot about this and like how we came to
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So I definitely think in my own game dev journey, I have found that paying a little bit of money to save a lot of time is just like a necessity. And
Right.
yes, there are free resources and free things out there, and that's totally cool, and I totally support people doing that. Um, but MK Labs made some like very cool stuff, and I think it's like worth the price by far.
Yeah.
So there are some other options, which is sorry if you hear dogs in the background.
All
Uh,
good.
there's yeah, there's some other options like setting it up from scratch, which we totally could have done. And then there's also the Lyra project. So setting it from scratch like takes quite a while. We could have made a super simple system so you could see all the parts, and we do want to do something like that just later, like in the future, right?
Hmm.
Lyra is on the other side, on the other hand, like way too complicated. There's
Right.
so much about Lyra that is like showcasing all the best features of Unreal Engine and all these cool things, and you get lost. What we're hoping for is this happy medium where you can quickly get started learning about attributes, gameplay abilities, and gameplay effects. How do I actually use gas? Then, once you understand the concepts and how everything's laid out, we can go back and show how you would arrive at this from scratch if people are interested.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think that sounds
yeah.
because I tried. Someone actually asked me like when the Lyra project dropped, like, "Hey, could you make a video like breaking this down?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Not really. There's just like too much, Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's almost like if you have like a show car and you take it to shows and like try to show it off and stuff, but if you take it to the drag race, like it's not going to win a race because it's not built for that, right?
Yeah,
But
Lyra, you could build multiple courses out of Lyra and what they're showing. So you could
yeah,
build one course out of just the gas side of Lyra, or one course out of like the common UI side of Lyra. Yeah, there's so much. Even the animation layers, I've seen multiple courses that just walk through how to do the animation system in Lyra, how to make that from scratch.
that's
And it's
crazy.
helpful, and it's hours, like dozens of hours long of like learning and stuff. So yeah, Lyra's a lot, for sure.
Nice. Yeah. All right. And then what's this next slide? All right. So this is what's in this course. So what Seth and I wanted to do is something different. Like, you guys can watch YouTube videos all day. There's plenty of YouTube courses out there that kind of talk through gas. There's also some paid courses. I know Steven Ulibarri has like a really intense one that's like 80 hours long. Those are definitely resources, but I think the issue is like a lot of people get stuck and then you're like, what do I do? Right. So, we have things like Discord now, there's Reddit, there's all these different places you can go to ask questions, but then you're kind of waiting, you're hoping for like the kindness of someone to come along and help you out, or maybe even someone comes along and kind of gives you bad information and sends you down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole. So essentially what Seth and I talked about was it would be really good if this was something that was like interactive. So essentially, what we've created is an interactive workshop. It's going to be a 2-hour workshop. I'll talk about when the first one is going to be in a few minutes. But also, we want it to kind of be a little bit of a mix. We don't want to be wasting people's time sitting and listening to lectures, we feel like that's something that you could do on your own time, right? So we have pre-recorded content. It's going to kind of fill out the basics. These aren't even necessarily things that you need to follow along with. You can watch them like, when you're on the train or on your break or something at work. Just kind of like build some of the principles of like how gas works. And then the interactive workshop is going to be kind of working through a project together. And one of the things about it is once you are part of the course, you have access to those content at any time. You can go back to it and, refresh your memory. We're also working on like a written guide. A lot of people ask me like, I wish I just had like a PDF or something that was searchable so I don't have to watch like hours and hours of video to find like this one thing that was in one part of the lessons and I can't remember which lesson it is. So I'm just clicking around until I find it. So creating like a written document that you could just use as a quick resource, that's gonna be part of it as well. And then we're gonna set up some things in the Discord where you can interact with the other students, ask questions, lean on each other, interact with the instructors, and then that's also where the course is gonna be run. It's gonna be run through the Discord for now. So that's what you get from the course. Hey, how's it going, Piyush? Good to see you. Welcome to this awesome stream. We're talking about gas today. I got Seth on the line with me here, and we're talking about the course. So
yeah, can I add to this as well?
Yeah, of course.
So just to clarify, these videos, the 60 minutes of pre-recorded content, most of them are just some basic videos that are like just a few minutes long that kind of go over like the sort of what we would call the ontology, or like how the topics in gas relate to one another, right? Like you're trying to break down this concept of gas into like the most easily digestible parts. And so the videos are just there to provide us a basic language and explain very simply what the things do in gas and how they relate to each other. Things like what is a gameplay ability, what is a gameplay effect, what is an attribute, and how do we think about it. The goal is to be super simple and present everything in a super simple way so that you can understand their purposes and like how to use them as tools and how to think about the tools. There will be later workshops that implement like what I'm told is like AAA level quality implementations and designs that are super complicated in gas, but I will still break those down more easily as well. So just to clarify, this is the first part in an ongoing series that's going to probably be like just 2 or 3 long.
Yeah.
In the workshop, we will go over not just like how to do this, right? Like how do I implement blah, 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 right? It's not going to be exactly like that. What we're going to do is really try to push on how to think about the parts of gas. Like how do I make a gameplay ability in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I give it to a character and how do I use it and what are the circumstances? So in the project, we're actually going to have 2 separate use cases. One's just like a third person run around, do stuff. The other is based off of Jim's ship project
Space
in the
Fighter.
Blueprints course.
If anybody's made it that far in the course, week 5, 6, 7, and half of 8, we work on our Space Fighter game. And Seth kind of broke this down and was like, hey, this actually is a really cool project to kind of show what gas can do. So we're actually going to like remake that project using gas and just show like a way more efficient way to do it. A lot of the systems that we build through those weeks in those lessons, they're just already part of gas. Like they're just there. So we basically, I don't want to say we wasted your time. I think we learned a lot about blueprints, but by taking this course, I think you can just basically see like how powerful it is when you take an existing system. So
yeah, you definitely, I'm like, it's definitely not a waste because you're learning the design flow. And then now you can look at gas and see, okay, this is what like the amazing minds at Epic came up with.
yeah.
So we'll be implementing stuff concurrently. Like you'll do an ability for the third person, an ability for the ship, right? And you'll see how to use these as tools so that you can quickly go into your own game. I've looked at a lot of different resources for gas, and I got kind of lost in how to think about these things because a lot of the videos were how to implement this specific thing in a specific way, and it didn't really give me the big picture understanding that I have now. The way I got to where I'm at today is by looking at all of those resources and then, figuring out what works best most often, what is a specific implementation for a specific ability, etc. So again, all the things I learned, they're out there on the internet. You can learn them too. You don't need this at all. But hopefully what would take you maybe 20 to 40 hours to learn, I could teach you in just a couple.
So very cool. All right. So I think the next slide is, what should you have before you get into this course? So We are going to be doing most of the stuff in Blueprints. So if anyone's like afraid of C++, like don't be afraid. This is going to be mainly in Blueprints. However, you should have a pretty good understanding of how Blueprints works, how Unreal Engine works. I think 99% of the stuff that you would need, you're going to learn in my Blueprints course. So if you've been working through that and maybe you're at least like halfway, maybe to week 5 or 6, you probably have most of the framework. I think you wouldn't necessarily be lost in this course. We are going to do a little bit of C++, but again, it's not anything scary. I think you just need to kind of understand how C++ works, especially with Unreal Engine, because it's a little bit different. It's like there's C++ and then there's C++ that's written for Unreal Engine. So there's a little bit of like interesting behaviors there. Just at least be able to interpret it. So we're not going to be writing like pure C++ classes. Usually we're going to be adding to ones that already kind of exist as part of the gameplay ability system. You should have an understanding of some common design patterns used in game development. Again, this is stuff that we go over in my Blueprints course. So if you're already working through that, don't be afraid. We just want to basically, prepare people. This is not like a day one beginner course. You should have a pretty good understanding of game dev, at least at like a rudimentary level. And then we are going to be distributing some project files, but the project files won't actually work if you don't have Gas Companion. Now that doesn't prevent you from taking the course and like learning it. I think even without that, you could still get a lot out of it. But you will need to have Gas Companion in order to open the project files. That being said, everyone should just go buy a Gas Companion. If you want to learn Gas, like just buy Gas Companion. Like the amount of time that it saves you is it's going to be worth your time. So that's my spiel there. Anything to add to that?
I guess one additional thing is that if you do buy Gas Companion, MK Labs has a server, like a Discord server, where he's super helpful. So I mean, you'll see me around there all the time, like asking questions and stuff like that. So know that it also comes with its own community and its own source of help, and there's some very intelligent people on that server. So it kind of doubles up.
Yeah, we met with MK Labs when we were starting this, and we talked to him about it. He was really excited that someone was doing this. So I think he'd be happy that we're throwing some extra people his way and spreading the word about his amazing plugin.
Yeah, and then one more thing about the C++. Really, the most we're going to be doing is copy pasting, and there will be little lines where it's like this value equals this other value. And you can just change what that's equal to. Maybe it's like my health is equal to my, health stat plus my endurance stat plus my whatever stat plus my level or something like that. So super straightforward stuff. You don't need C++ at all. Any of the more complicated stuff that we end up going over, I will give you. You can copy and paste it in your code. I'll explain exactly how it works, how to think about each section. You can comment it so it makes sense for you. And then you can go from there. I am not a C++ programmer. I am a programmer. I do have Python experience and things like that. So I do understand like for loops and that sort of stuff. Not a C++ programmer. So I do a lot of like, taking things that exist and just modifying them a little bit. And that's the skill I'm going to be transmitting as well.
Yeah. Seth is in my boat that we both kind of hate C++ a little bit. We were actually like meeting earlier today, and we were trying to do something, and both of us were just like cursing at Unreal Engine, like, why does this have to be so difficult?
I mean, it's definitely something I'm learning and trying to get better at. But I think if anything, I really want to indicate that Gas is super useful for those of you who may be like me, who are like indie devs. As a solo developer, you have to know everything, and it's like so hard to do a game from scratch. I mean, AAA studios have teams dedicated to specific things, like a team of lighting people, a team of level design, right? So leaning on the plugins and things that are available in Unreal Engine is just like necessary to actually realistically complete any kind of game. And in Gas you can get some complex stuff cooking in like minutes if you are if you know how to do it.
Yeah, even if you're not going to take the course, go buy Gas Companion. Honestly,
yeah.
Like if that's the one thing you learned from this stream today, just go buy Gas Companion. Like it's worth it. So this is where we talk about when the course is actually going to be. So Seth and I want to do a dry run. This is eventually going to be something that we're going to ask for a little money for. We've put a lot of work into it. Seth has put a lot more work into it. But we are basically going to let the first session be free. So the first session is going to be Friday, April 5th. It's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can register for free now, and I'll walk you through that on the next slide. But just so you know, there's going to be a pilot session, 100% free to the first 10 people. That's the class size. And we'll talk about how to register right now. So you can register for the course by going to my website. There's a QR code on the screen. If you scan it, it'll take you there. You're going to select services. You're going to select book now. And then you'll see a little thing says gameplay ability system online workshop. Register for the course. And that's all you got to do for now. You'll be in the course. We actually haven't done this part yet, so I'm not 100% sure what happens after this, but we'll figure it out, right? That's another reason we're doing a dry run. I'll get an email letting me know you registered. We'll get you set up in the Discord with all the right permissions and everything, and that way you can see all the content. And for now, this is all you got to do. Just go and register, and then we're going to work out the last few kinks after people start doing this. So hopefully people actually register for the course. So it's free. Just do it. You can listen. You can learn about this. It's an amazing tool. Everybody's going to be. This is like if you're going to be getting into game dev. If you want to work in any team, I would think within the next few years, I think this is going to be a requirement that people are going to. That's going to be like the first question people ask is like, do you know gas? Because if you don't, like, you know, this is like a game changer. So
there are definitely bespoke like ability systems that you can create on your own for your specific game. Totally fine, but like. I definitely see lots of like job postings and stuff that's like, oh, my game's designed in gas, looking for people who know gas, etc. So it just it's only going to get better too. Like just from Unreal Engine 5 to 5.3, they've made some cool updates that make things a lot more efficient and things like that. So
I'll leave this up for a couple more seconds, but what we're going to do now after this is I have up behind here, I have a fresh Unreal Engine 5 project. We're using the first person shooter as a template, and Seth's gonna walk me through really quick how to get gas set up on this project. And you can just kind of get a basic understanding of what is involved with the setup. We're gonna be using Gas Companion again, so it takes some of the work out of it right off the bat. But any last things before we transition into that, Seth?
No, I think I'm good here.
All right, cool. Let's see, and hopefully by the time this stream ends, we've already filled the class, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, so here we are. I promise you, this is a fresh project. I just made it, so I've done absolutely nothing to this project. And Seth, I'm gonna go to the Discord, and that way you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, if you could share that there. Looks like the live stream's a little bit delayed.
Yeah, it is. It's I don't know how to fix that. I'm like still kind of learning how to do all of this.
Yeah, I think that's like a common feature for like people who play video games, right? Stream sniping and stuff.
Yeah. Someone even told me how to like do it, and then I did it, and then it didn't. It still has the lag. So I'm just
okay.
done. I'm done trying it. People can deal with the lag.
Yeah.
Right.
So it looks like you already have the Gas Companion plugin enabled. I noticed in the top right you have the Gas Companion button. Okay, so maybe we just show real quick what plugins are needed. So if you just go to your edit plugins, just show that it's like enabled, and you need the Gas gameplay ability system plugin enabled as well.
Hang on a second. Something's weird with the stream. It's like not showing the whole screen, I don't think.
Oh, it is cut off a little. That is weird.
Technical difficulties.
Looks like there's oh, it's probably like your toolbar to block your toolbar setting. No, I don't know. The whole thing's zoomed.
I'm gonna redo this.
Okay. There's also a bit of an echo. So maybe mute your mute something. I don't know. It's not too bad though if you want to leave it.
All right, there we go.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we have this brand new thing. As Seth was saying, there's like this Gas Companion thing here. This is when you have the Gas Companion plugin installed. To do that, remember, we just go to plugins. You can type gas, and then it'll be there. And then what's the other thing we gotta do, Seth? Something.
Type in gameplay.
Gameplay.
And then you'll see gameplay abilities.
Yeah.
And that's the actual gameplay abilities plugin.
Right. So you
There's
got to have
other
both those
things
on,
that
right?
might be there. Yeah, I think that's it. There might be other stuff, but
Cool.
um, yeah, we'll get into those game feature actions that plug in below, in like the second or third workshop. But that's like really incredible for development. But we don't need to go into it. So okay, cool. So we have gameplay abilities set up. Gas is set up. This is just a default first-person template. So what we're gonna do to get Gas enabled with Gas Companion, mind you, is we're just going to go into the first-person BP first person.
This
Actually,
one.
maybe you can run around and show that it works, like
Okay.
hit play,
Yeah.
shoot, and stuff. But what we're going to do is Gas Companion comes with some default characters that are already like sort of quote unquote gas enabled.
Hmm.
And it makes it like easy to start granting like stats and abilities and stuff like that.
These are part of Gas Companion, you said?
Yeah. So all this is part of Gas Companion. Again, things you could do on your own, but just removes a lot of the boilerplate because it's the same for every project. It's basically the same for every person, the same kinds of needs and stuff. So, it's just a lot faster. So what we're gonna do is open up the BP first person character and just reparent it. So yeah, you can see the parent class is just character. So now we're gonna type in GSC. And then I forget what it's called exactly. It's going to be modular character. GSC modular character. Yes, there you go. And now that should just work. We have compile. You can go back, hit play, make sure everything's the same in the level.
Yeah, still working.
Perfect. So nothing's different, right? But we have just enabled gas on our character. So if you go back into the BP first person character, blueprint that you have. You can see on the left, your character now has this ability system component in the components panel. And then so that comes with a lot of features. Now you can pull it out and just like pull a pin off, and we can just look at some of the stuff. So if you go to ability, ability. So here are just some of the things that, like some of the functionality that you have in here. I think there's other tabs. I just forget what they are at the moment. But if you go to attribute, so what an attribute is basically like your stats. So in your ship project, you had like a fire rate, a fire range, you have like a health bar, right? Maybe even a movement speed, things like that. Anything that's like a float value can be an attribute, right? That's what we would call them in the gas language, an attribute. And so you have a lot of like functionality here where you can get these values, store them, and then change them, etc. If you go to gameplay ability, the tab below, what a gameplay, okay, so scroll up above abilities, there's ability, do that one. There you go. So abilities are like things you do. So if you're shooting, you're jumping, you're sprinting, sliding, turning on a flashlight, interacting with the world, or even like passive abilities, like I'm listening for maybe an enemy to die, and when an enemy dies, like spawn an explosion at their position, whatever, right? You want to use gameplay abilities for those, and gameplay abilities are like they're standalone blueprints that kind of encapsulate functionality. So you have this like try activate ability, and this is the node that we'll end up using. So so the reason I did that was just to explore a little bit about the functionality of what this ability system component can do.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So what we
like
can do
in the
is
ship project, real quick, like one of the things was I wanted to have like a special weapon, and I wanted this to be like something that a player could like swap out, like maybe in like a ship configuration, they can say like, I want this one for this level, and for another level, maybe I want like a shield or something. So you're saying we could like set that up as a gameplay ability?
Yes.
And then they could just be swapped out?
Yes. So what the way this works is almost like gameplay abilities. You can think of them like interface functions in a way.
Wow.
Or they have interface functions built in a way. So my character, right? I can press like the 5 key, right? And I can activate abilities either of a particular class or by particular like tags. So the gameplay ability system uses tags a lot, but you can think of it just like a name, right? A name of several different kinds of abilities. So maybe I want to activate my special attack. And they have a bunch of different abilities that kind of have this like association with that idea, special attack, a gameplay tag that says special attack. Whenever you press your button, it'll just tell my ability system, hey, if you have any abilities with the special attack tag, do them now, right? So then you could just design that, and then when you build your special attacks, you don't need to do anything with your inputs or controls or anything like that. You just simply say, hey, this should fire off whenever I do my special attack, and I put all my logic inside that gameplay ability, from the VFX and the sound effects to like what projectiles are spawned. It can reference your stats and your abilities or your attributes, so like your damage that you should be doing, your fire rate, etc. And then it can do a bunch of math with them, apply all this damage to characters, and then the ability's done.
Wow.
That ability can be granted or removed at runtime. So like a common design flow, for instance, is that like I have a sword and I have an axe, and I want different animations for each one. Uh, with the gameplay ability system, what you would do is just tie those animations to the gameplay ability itself. So I have a gameplay ability for swinging an axe and one for swinging a sword. They do different things, different damage, different animations, whatever, right? But the item itself will contain that gameplay ability and grant it to me. So my
That's
character does not need
crazy.
to know, yeah, does not need to know about my sword ability or my axe ability at all. It can just dynamically pick stuff up, learn new things, and do it. If you want a real world reference for this, this is how Fortnite works when they have their new seasons and you get a new weapon that totally changes what your character does and all the animations and stuff, right? If you start thinking like, well, how would I do all that, right? Like you would think of maybe some super complex like interface functions and all this sort of stuff that can then be referenced, whatever, right? But they do it with gas. You just grant a gameplay ability and you're done. You grant an attribute set, you're done. Like a set of stats or whatever specific for that thing if you want. All these gameplay ability stuff, they're all replicated already out of the box with like prediction and things like that. There are some things you have to do inside gameplay abilities sometimes for certain kinds of data, but that's super complicated, so we're not going to go over multiplayer right now. But yeah, so tons of functionality built in. It has the idea of like a cost, a cooldown, things like that.
Wow.
Um, so what we can do here is I also want to show the attributes. So maybe if we go to like class defaults for your uh, up at the
Oh,
top.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Here.
Yeah, yeah. So if you scroll down, there should be a new tab for Gas Companion. There it is.
Yeah.
And if you drop down abilities, there it is. You see granted abilities, attributes, effects, etc.
Mm-hmm.
This is a function that's built in. It's very commonly implemented in like all gas systems that I've seen. Gas Companion again already has it for you. This is just things to give your character on startup, right? You give it a list of stuff, and then on startup, it'll initialize and say, here's the stats you need, here's the values, here's the blah, 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 right? Perfect for like saved game systems. You would just change what is loaded up here, and then this is how you load your character. So what you can do is go to the granted attributes, and
Okay.
then just click a plus, and then you can hit that drop down, and then you can do the attribute set, and then do GSC attribute set. Sorry, the GSC one.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. So GSC attribute set is just a default attribute set that comes with Gas Companion, just so you can see what it's like. It has some health, some stamina, some mana, right? That table below is called an initialization table. You would fill one out, which we will show you in the workshop, to give yourself like some stats and some numbers. So like,
Like base stats.
yeah. Like I want my health to start at 100 and my mana to start at 50 and my stamina to start at 25, whatever, right? So it's just how to initialize it. There's other ways too, but through a data table, it's like, pretty easy.
Right.
So just to show that this works, if you click compile, and then go into your first person project, I just want to show you that you have those stats available. If you click play, I'll type this into the chat. You do show debug or tilde to open up your console command,
Mm-hmm.
and then do show debug, one word, and then space ability system, one word. And perfect. Now click enter, and there's this little box. This box, you're kind of inside the box because you're doing the first person project. If you're a third person, you just see it around your character. But if you notice on the left, it says like state, and it says playing, and below it says owned tags, and just some empty stuff, and then it says blocked tags, and then it looks like it says, does that actually say health and stuff
Health.
below it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that just tells you what your stats are now, and you'll use this console command a lot for debugging just to see like what's available. So that shows that you have access to these stats now. So what we can do is you can click end, or like end this and go back to your third person or
Yeah.
sorry, first person blueprint. And maybe on like begin play, we can just like pull out the stat to show that you have it. So wherever begin play is,
These dang Unreal Engine projects. Let's pull
yeah.
event begin play. All right.
And then get your ability system component again.
Okay.
And then you can pull off of it and just type in, I guess, like a get float attribute probably.
Okay.
Okay. And then get float. We'll just say, yeah, get float attribute, not base. You just want to do, yeah, there you go. Click that one. And then in that attribute, drop it down. And then look for, I guess, health.
Yeah.
And then just print that to the screen so we can see that it's 0. Just so you can, again, yeah, see that it works and it exists and stuff.
So there's even a bool to see if it even found it?
Yeah, because you can grant attribute sets at runtime. So like, what if I wanted some super special custom ability, but it has its own set of attributes? So like, when I'm making my character right now, maybe I don't know, or maybe another team is working on weapons, and I don't know what the weapon stats are going to look like yet. So I'm just going to work on the health and the movement stats. They can actually have a completely separate attribute set for all the weapon related things that they can work on separately, and we can just combine them later. So in the Lyra example project, this actually happens where you have like an attribute set for your combat stats, which are like your stamina and other things, and then you have a special set of attributes just for your health alone. So the kind of damage you take, what to do when you take damage, etc., all of which can be handled in C++. What I mean by that is like, if you're trying to heal and you have a max health of like, let's say 100, in the attribute set itself, you can handle like, oh, what happens if the stat wants to go over 100, and then you just clamp it to like the max health and stuff. So it's like a very good, like, I guess you might call it partitioning or something, like the structure, the architecture of that game design becomes super simple to like access those values and do complex math with those values and check all sorts of things.
Wow.
So this is super simple though. And then if you compile, hit play, hopefully we'll see that is 0. Sometimes I'm not sure when begin play happens. Oh yeah, so you see 0 up at the top.
Yeah.
Briefly, just for a brief moment.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. So sometimes there's like initialization stuff. So sometimes you want to check like, is this initialized, and if it's valid, then do stuff. But I think begin play happens after the ability system components initialized in single player. In multiplayer, I'm not sure that that's always the case, but we're not going to deal with that. So perfect. So what we can do now is grant ourselves a gameplay ability. So this right here is the concept of stats. It's super easy to define new stats. Gameplay ability system, or sorry, Gas Companion comes with like this attribute wizard. It does require you to open up like Writer or Visual Studio to recompile. So I don't think we should do that right now, but you can define some of these stats super easily. And then yeah, set all this like custom logic. Again, the workshop kind of goes over this, shows some examples in the videos, and then we'll go over more complex stuff in future workshops.
But you could use the ones that are already built in here, like right now.
Yeah, and that's what we are going to do in the workshop anyway. We will go over defining a new one. Maybe we can even do that today if we wanted to, like a single new stat and like some ways to use it. But there's like there's a lot you can do, and I want to make sure I don't like like downplay how effective this stuff is. Just to be clear, like let's say you have like a shield stat and a health stat. Maybe when you take a certain kind of damage, right, we can add a reference to like, I don't know, if this is acid damage, deal more damage to your shields, or skip shields entirely and only do damage to health, etc. Like all this sort of stuff are gameplay designs that I've made in like 5 minutes, right, through Gas. I currently, the way my system's set up actually is adding a new damage type. So like I have a ton of damage types in my game, and there's all this like elemental combinations and stuff. To add a new damage type to the entire game where everything can understand what it is, how to increase it, how to deal damage with it, etc. It takes like 15 seconds or something like that. Like I just have to define some new things, and then boom, it's there in my game. Everything can use it.
That's really cool.
So yeah, Gas is like, it's insanely powerful. I would never want to do anything else.
Yeah, I'm never gonna not use Gas after I go through this stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
Like so step 1, make project. Step 2, add Gas.
Yeah, really. So if you go to class defaults, what we'll do next is I just want to show you. So there's a section in that Gas Companion. If you go to abilities again, that drop down. So there's that granted abilities. Now we don't have any abilities yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you click plus there, I'm curious to see what comes up. Um, if you go to that none, right there, drop down. Okay, so that has some stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a new ability. This will not be using the gas companion ability. So just go to your content drawer, um, right click, and then do gameplay. I think the gameplay tab. Um,
Wait.
if you, it's like right under
Oh,
FX.
here.
Yeah, and then
Gameplay
gameplay
ability.
ability. Uh-huh. You just define it there, and then just pick gameplay ability at the top. We don't need to subclass the GSC companion stuff. It has a lot of really good things, but just for the sake of this, we'll skip it. And then do GA underscore I guess shoot. And what we'll do is we'll just do some cheeky stuff to encapsulate the shoot function in a gameplay ability.
Okay.
So this is empty right now, and what you're going to do is go get. So actually, let's go to the third person or first person blueprint.
Yep.
I keep saying third person. My
No,
bad.
that's good. I should have done third person because yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
confusing me too.
Uh, so if you go down to where the shooting functionality is, just take a look and double check. I believe it's like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Here.
yeah. So this is using enhanced input, primary action, and it just says call on use item. Now that's an event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that event is probably is tied to the like the rifle actor itself. Um, this is not how like I would do it in my games, but like this definitely makes sense for a lot of games, right? Like you have your blueprint, so if you can go to like the blueprint for the rifle.
Oh yeah.
Um, so if you go to the blueprint for the rifle, there's a lot of logic here, and it all comes off of that event, right? So
Oh yeah.
somewhere it
Here.
should just say so you bind to the event, and then on fire projectile, it will do stuff.
Yeah. It
Um,
makes a bullet or
yeah,
something. I don't
yeah.
know. I hate the way
So
this one works. It's so dumb
yeah,
to me.
so so like the logic here kind of makes sense, right? You have your gun, and you want your gun to have like the projectile that it fires. So maybe if you have a different gun, it has a different projectile. So it's kind of annoying to redo this whole thing because there are sockets associated with this gun
Mm-hmm.
that choose where that projectile spawns from. Is that right? Yeah, spawn
Yeah.
transform, and there's like a
Yeah. I
location.
can't remember exactly, but it's like kind of a yeah.
Yeah. So what we can do, right, is I'm going to show two things. One, if you go to your gameplay ability shoot,
Mm-hmm.
gameplay abilities know, like, there's an assumption that the gameplay ability belongs to somebody with a gameplay or with an ability system component. So you're just going to right click and do get actor info.
Get actor info. Okay.
Yes. And
Oh,
then if you,
okay.
so if you split that pin, uh, break, and then you have this list of information. Now you have like the avatar actor, the owner actor, the ability system component of the owner. Like there's all kinds of stuff you can reference here. The skeletal mesh, whatever, right?
This is
So
crazy. All this is just
yeah,
wow.
huh? So yeah, so so we're just going to just get the owner actor because the
Okay.
owner of this gameplay ability is going to be my character.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to pull it out, and for the sake of this demo, we're just going to cast it to the character. So cast to BP first person
Yeah, this
character,
one.
yeah. And then we're just going to fire off that call, what was it, item use or something like that?
Call item. I call on use
On
item.
use it. Yeah, there you go. And then you want to do another pin after and do end ability. If you never, so the life cycle of a gameplay ability, right, is you activate it, and then somewhere you must call end ability for it to be over, or else it'll just stick around,
Mm-hmm.
because it's up to you to decide when it should end and stuff. So in this case, we want to end it as soon as we fire it, and then it's done. There are passive gameplay abilities that just stick around forever, like while the game's running. This is listening for stuff or doing things, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can like set that up, but in general, you activate your ability, you do stuff, you end your ability. And then if you wanted to, there's that event at the end that says like ability's done. You could print something or see if it was
Mm-hmm.
canceled, right? Because it has the idea of like, I want to cancel this ability early. You can then like say, I don't know, if we canceled it early, blow your character up or whatever, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
a lot of stuff you can do, but we'll just keep it here. So now if you compile,
Okay.
and then you go to your BP first person character, you can then go to class defaults again. And so you created your gameplay ability, but now it just exists in your game. Like, I mean, it's floating around the file somewhere. Your character now needs a reference to it. So yeah, so now you can do that drop down for the ability and then just select GA shoot. Now, abilities do have an idea of a level, like a lot of MOBAs and things like that. Maybe you want level 1, level 2, level 3. It's just another float that your ability can reference to do math with at different
Wow.
points, right? So
Is it like
if
built
you,
into here?
yeah, I'm actually not sure how to get it from here. I think there's like a getter somewhere with like things we'll
Okay.
go over later, but like affect contexts and just other
Right.
sorts of things. But you can access it in C++ quite easily, and this is actually probably like one of the necessary parts of gas that requires C++ is like some more advanced damage math really
Mm-hmm.
should be done in C++. Again, it's something we'll show in the workshop. Super simple, super easy to
Right.
copy and paste and make some modifications to. Kind of complex to just figure out on your own, though. It took me a while. I was like, dude, what am I looking at?
Wow.
But after I broke it down, I was like, oh, it's not so bad. And then
I
there's
just
also,
want to real quick. We have
yeah,
officially one student, so this class is going to
yeah,
start filling up quick. So
dude, that's exciting.
here
Yeah,
we go.
I
Let me.
really one of the
I'm gonna link this in the chats, and if you guys want to register for the class, it's the first one's free. We're doing a pilot. It's free for the first 10 people. You can go through the class. Let me switch screens again so people could see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Piyush. I hope I'm saying that right. Piyush works. Yeah, multiple
Yeah.
levels of abilities. There's
Yes.
like, I mean, everything from like cost, cooldown, um, even like dynamic abilities. Like for instance, in my game, I have this need. So my game is based around the idea that like, you play World of Warcraft or something, and there's like a warrior class and a priest class and a paladin class. But isn't the paladin class just like warrior plus priest, right? Like, why does that need to be a whole class? So, there, so that birthed my game, which is this design of like modular things. So I have gameplay abilities that do all sorts of complicated things depending on like should this be dealing fire damage, should it be dealing lightning damage or whatever, right? Was this fired from like a turret as opposed to my own character, right? And all these sorts of things. And then I have a bunch of like complicated events too, where it's like halfway through this ability, or like maybe while I'm charging my ability, do other stuff as well. So yeah, and it's all like super simple to like actually implement. I could not code this from scratch. If you asked me to, I'd probably give up on game dev. But um, with gas, yeah, it's super quick.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I also want to clarify. You might see right there that input action. So this
Hmm.
is using the enhanced input system. There's an abstraction from uh, like if I like, let's say you have a hot bar, a quick bar, right?
Hmm.
When you press one, it should activate whatever's in your quick bar for number one, right? So that's the idea of input actions here. You use your enhanced input system to define whatever key you want to use your quick bar one. So like on my keyboard, it's probably number one to activate quick bar one, but somebody else might say like the V key or whatever is quick bar one. So that's
Hmm.
the enhanced input system. But then there's an abstraction from that enhanced input being activated to what ability is activated, right? So I don't even know how you would do a quick bar system outside of gas, but with gas, it's just okay. I press one,
I
it
can tell
fires
you.
off this event. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I tried it. No, well, I did it. It's not easy. I'm just gonna let you know. It's a huge pain in the ass because you have to like store a reference
Right.
in a widget of what is there,
Yeah.
and if you don't do it right, you're gonna like mess something up. Like it's a pain in the butt. So like just the ability to like be like, oh, hey, this one is now number 5. Like that's really cool. I
Yeah.
mean, like that alone is just going to save you hours and hours of work. So,
So there's this give ability system. It's like defined in C++. That's also part of Gas Companion, but again, you put it in basically every game. It just associates this input action. So I do like primary action on the screen here in that blueprint, that input action for primary action, and then it fires off an input like tag or something, and then actually that might not be this one here. That might just be straight up. Click that drop down for input action. I'm curious now.
here.
To the right. I might be getting it mixed up with something. No, okay. So so I think what that is, I do this stuff in C++, so I'm not actually sure here. I can double check though later. But so there is the idea supported, even if it's not this right now, that I use my input action and it basically calls an event that's like, hey, this input was done, it was made, and then the gameplay ability is then fired off that's associated with it. And you can add and remove those at runtime, so it becomes super easy to like swap out your functionality and swap out your ability. Um,
Right.
but all that being said, for our case,
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, yeah, see this. these projects, it's weird.
Oh, they still use
This
the.
is using the old input system, so that's probably why. I bet you if we did
Uh,
use the enhanced input, those would be there.
yeah.
Let's see. Let's
Oh,
make
you're
one
right.
real
That is
quick.
just a regular input. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, I'm done.
no, you're. Let's just make a quick input action and see. I test.
Is this 5.3?
It is, but I don't
Okay.
remember what project. I don't remember what version I built this in. Let's. All right. So now, yeah. So you could just assign it to an input
Okay.
action, and this could be done at runtime.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do that regularly for my own quick bar stuff. So,
That's
I just like
crazy.
remove the ability and then regrant it with a different input action.
That's
It becomes easy
nuts.
too because you can like reference abilities by their input. So you can say remove all abilities that have this input action associated with it.
So
So
we
like my
wouldn't
number.
even need this. Like if we were using, like, we could delete this
No.
altogether.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. You don't actually have that in most gas system setups. Like it's just handled elsewhere. And
Dude,
it's
this is blowing
it's
my
like
mind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's super nice. I actually don't even use input actions in my current game setup, though. I use something else that we will probably show here in a second. But
Nice.
so for just for this case, for this workshop, all we're gonna do is pull off that pressed pin, and then just actually you got to get a reference to your gameplay ability system component first.
All
Yeah,
right.
and then do try activate ability by class. So this is like a yeah, there you go. So this is not necessarily how you would do it, but just for the sake of this, we will. And then just drag that pin, and then in that drop down, select our shoot ability. So just to clarify, we made shoot. We just copied that it just fires this event, right? And and then we're granting this to our character, and then you're just gonna go into the game, hit play, and show that it works.
Wow.
So nothing's different, right? It's all the same.
I mean,
Ideally,
we did something like a little. I could see the potential though. Like,
yeah, yeah. So ideally, what you would do here is like, instead of calling that, so let's go into the BP rifle,
okay.
and then just copy all that logic for the spawning.
God, I hate this project. What is
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Just copy like I think
Do we need all
all
of
of
this?
that. I can't really. It's a little blurry on my end,
Yeah.
because my
All
screen's
right.
small. But
Should I put it into?
shoot, yeah. Put it in the shoot function. And then let's just see. All those like position and stuff. Maybe you could just replace that with like get actor location.
Oh, like this.
Yeah. So like so that's the skeletal mesh. And I think that's the skeletal mesh of the gun. So
Yeah.
we don't want that. So you can delete that. And then go to your ability actor info.
What is it?
Sorry, just at the top you already have it split. Oh sorry, in the graph. Just move the graph up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, right there. You can get your owner actor and just like get location off that owner actor pin.
Actor. I can never remember like which one to use. Get actor location or get world location.
Yeah.
All right.
So then now you can use that as your input, and then
Yes,
delete that, and then just like you just put like I don't know 5 or 10 or something. Yeah, something like that. And then just like yeah, hard code some value in there.
I'll just take whatever it was in here. I don't know why 100 minus 100 0 minus 10.
So I think that's a little bit forward and a little bit. Actually, that Z do like 500 for the Z. Or how tall is the character? Do you know? It's like 300 maybe. Do 300 because that's gonna be spawning from the socket of the gun. So all those numbers are in reference to like the gun's location. But because we're not, this is gonna work with whether you have a gun or not. Because we're like kind of removing the
Shoot from my
functionality.
hands.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna be a little energy blast or something.
All right.
Yeah, maybe you can even get like bone location, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to get crazy, right? We're just trying to show
Yeah.
how it works. And then this needs to plug in here, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you actually don't even need the cast of the character anymore. You can just
What?
go straight off that off the event activate ability. So yeah, there you go.
So we're removing the necessity of even having a cast at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nuts. All
because there's no logic on the character itself, right? All the
Right.
logic's in the gameplay ability or in the your stats are in the component.
Oh,
So
so
make sure
yeah,
that
we have
it looks like there's a
another.
gray node there. Um, we could
Maybe I
just
could
like
just.
remove that. We don't care about playing the montage.
That's true. Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if it works.
Yeah.
So
I think
now,
they're
essentially, we've. So now this GA shoot is what's spawning the bullet.
yes. Yes.
All right, let's see if it
And
works.
ideally, you would have your rifle give you this ability. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit higher, but that's all right.
Let's go.
Um,
Now it's coming out of my feet. Maybe just 0.
yeah, try like 300 or something.
There we go.
50. Oh, just 0. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because these first person actors are weird. Like this
Is that 0?
this is yeah. I think I don't know.
Oh,
Or maybe it's taking it from here, which is like slightly below my arms. I don't know.
maybe.
But anyway,
Yeah, however it works. Ideally, you'd get like a socket location on
Right.
your mesh or something. But yeah.
So
Okay.
so now everything is contained within this gameplay ability, which I've just given to this actor, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so now what we can do is try to finish off like the gameplay ability design,
Mm-hmm.
and you can delete that. So the granted abilities there, like just remove that.
Like
Just
this.
yeah, remove that. Actually, you want to click the trash can at the top so that the
This
element
one.
is gone.
Oh.
Yeah. So now it's gone. So now we don't have this gameplay ability, and then you're gonna go into your rifle pickup.
This one? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Is that the actual pickup? I'm not sure.
It is. It's kind of weird. See, yeah, it's this.
Okay, perfect. So now you want to just right-click anywhere and say get ability system component, or maybe pull off the actor.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can
There it is. Ability system component there, and then drag the other actor in there.
this one.
Yeah. And then maybe do a valid check, like do an is valid off of
Right.
your ability system component, just to make sure that it's not like, it'll break if like a random projectile goes.
Right.
Um,
I'm just gonna delete.
uh
Yeah. So now we just have this, right?
Yep. And then on that is valid, pull off that pin again and say grant ability system or try grant ability. No, delete back, maybe backspaces and try just type in ability. Give ability.
Give ability.
Yeah, there it is. Give ability. And then now you can drop in your shoot, and then you just click.
Do we need a level? I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Nah, it's not used here. Yeah, but you could, and so you could have different guns with like different like rarities that maybe give more damage or something. Like in Fortnite, I think they have like
Wow.
weapon rarities or that concept's there somehow.
Nice.
So now when we go over, it should give the ability. So if we click compile,
Okay, so now I can't shoot because I don't have the ability. But
right?
if I interact with this gun, wow.
Oh, we didn't actually hook it up to the character. That's funny. Yeah. So yeah, walking over it granted it to you, but it didn't actually attach it. So we didn't have the attached transform. If that makes sense for people watching. But yeah, so you could finish that off by saying attach to the appropriate socket and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, don't need to. But yeah, so that's it. So you walked over, you granted yourself the ability, and now you can do stuff. And then if you had a button that said like remove the weapon, then you can just like remove the ability, right? So that workflow alone makes for let me explain why that's cool, right? You're like, okay, but isn't this just like another way to do stuff? But what's cool about this is that the way you can grant abilities and have them stored with certain items in this way just makes it super modular because you can play all your animations and all your stuff in your gameplay ability itself.
Mhm.
You can reuse actors or have different circumstances, talent trees, etc. And with this gameplay ability, I can grant it to anyone or like reuse
Well,
this all over
yeah,
the
because
place.
one thing I know this is like a big buzzword right now in Unreal Engine, but like there's 0 hard references
Right.
other than this bullet, right?
Oh, I
But
guess that's
like
true. Yeah.
But like even that, we could probably
Mhm.
get rid of this because I hate when they do this, right? But like,
Yeah. And you can also set that as like a variable in the gameplay ability too. So
yeah,
just on the left, you can just plop it in and like, do
you could
stuff.
set it as a yeah. You're totally right. We could
Mhm.
like projectile, first person projectile.
Yeah. And you can do and should do like soft references and all that, but we don't have to worry about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And so like, oftentimes what we'll do is like define, like the projectile in C++, and then, um, so we haven't shown yet, but basically all the effects, like the damage and stuff that you can do, is also generated here in this gameplay ability, and then you can like pass it on to the projectile. So this projectile that spawned doesn't necessarily know anything about, like, it's not part of your gameplay ability, right? It's its own standalone actor.
Hmm.
Um, but you can, and the common workflow in this is to pass reference to like what you're doing, like the damage and all that kind of stuff that you're doing, into the
Hmm.
bullet to do things. But yeah, so more examples of this, like I have a gun, and whenever I press my auxiliary attachments button, my gun will do auxiliary attachment things. That can be anything from turning on a flashlight or a laser to maybe aiming down a scope to firing off a grenade launcher or whatever. And based on my attachments that I equip to my gun, I can add or remove these gameplay abilities, and I can reuse the same gameplay ability for each thing that's spawning it, and then just change some of those stats around. So if I had like, yeah, different ability levels, whatever, so my super mega grenade launcher versus my weak cheap poor grenade launcher,
Right.
all that stuff can be different.
No, this is
um
like amazing because
yeah.
one of the problems like that I have is, I mean, people can probably relate to this, right? You start to design something and then you realize like weeks into the project that you need to change something, but you've already like coded so many things and now it's just like this like trying to unravel like how everything works. And like, so I spend a lot of time before I even start coding, like how should all these systems work together and like how should everything interface, and so that I don't end up in that situation, and I try to make everything like very compartmentalized. But it's
Right.
like gas just does that, and you
Yes.
don't have to worry about this. You could just say like I'm just going to start building my game, and if I need to change something, it's not like a huge technical burden. It's just like, oh, I'll just change that one thing, you know?
Yep. It's super friendly for like designers and stuff. I mean, iteration speed is insane here. Like people talk about, C++ versus Blueprints. Like Blueprints is pretty fast. Gas is even faster. So if you go to class defaults, just some other things so we can explore this real quick. Um, on the right, you see all these things, right? Like you see, so at the bottom, you can see the very bottom, you see like cooldowns and cost. The way these work, like the cooldown is basically like you're applying a gameplay
Hmm.
tag to yourself, and it has a duration. So gameplay tag is just like a super boolean. It's not part of gas, but gas is built on top of it. Kind of like booleans aren't part of, like, you wouldn't say booleans are part of Unreal Engine, but they use booleans everywhere, right? So that's the way you should think about tags. It's like a feature that even outside of gas you should probably use. Tons of videos on it, very cool. Um, but basically it's like little tags or like sticky notes that you can apply to things, and then you remove them after a time, right? And you can just check, is this sticky note here or is it not there, right? So that's a way to think about tags very quickly. So this cooldown idea, it just says, hey, I'm going to apply a sticky note to myself that says if I try to activate this ability again, don't until I remove the sticky tag, right? The sticky note.
Hmm.
So that's all the cooldown thing does. Cost can also check for like stamina usage, so we can make this cost stamina if we wanted to, which we can actually walk through here. It's like pretty quick. I can show how to do that. And
Yeah.
if you don't have enough stamina, it won't fire the ability. Gas Companion comes with a special feature, which is like loosely checking for ability costs. So if you're very close to having enough, it will just fire off the ability anyway and set your resources into the negatives. But then only if it's negative, like don't do anything. So this can be helpful for like all sorts of designs. Like maybe you have something where you're using an ability and you like want to be, I don't know, you get into the negatives and then you have some tag applied to you or something like that, right? So
Hmm.
you get exhausted or something, right? I don't know. So there's definitely lots of little quality of life things there. Or if it's like super close, then we just give it to the player anyway and don't tell them that they really didn't have enough mana but it was close enough, right?
Right.
um So there's like all sorts of little things like that that I think people do in AAA studios and such. But yeah, so cost, that's like resources to expend, cooldown. You can declare when you do these, so it can be at the start or the end of an ability, right? So maybe the cooldown should start as soon as you press the button, or maybe it should be for the ability's completed. If you have like a large like charge up or something like that, like
Yeah.
charging an ability
Or
and then it
like
gets
I'm
canceled.
thinking of something like an invincibility ability,
Yeah,
but you don't want it to go on cooldown until it's like completed itself.
done. Yes, exactly. There's lots of games that are competitive games and stuff that have you can tell an ability so much better when the cooldown goes immediately if it has a duration itself, right? So
Right.
lots of things that you can do there. But yeah, and above that, there's a bunch of replication related stuff. Again, not going to get into. Also, in this course in the workshop, we're also not going to go into replication.
Yeah.
It's in my I started off trying to make a multiplayer battle royale, realized that that was going to be super hard, so I went to like cooperative like top down RPG, realized that was still going to be pretty hard. So I just single player game. And I highly recommend that everybody who wants to do a multiplayer game, you can, but your journey is going to be like exponentially larger. There's so many more things you have to consider every step of the way for replication, and that's even like getting it working, not just like net code. So
Right.
if you're like me, who maybe you know how to do some coding, but you're not like a wizard, right? You didn't go to school for coding or anything like that. Then maybe, oh, sorry, I just saw the chat. Sorry if you covered this at the beginning, but what did you all decide on the cost for the course? This is part of what we're going to be going over for the pilot. We're going to like say, hey, how much do you think this is worth for everybody?
Yeah.
Uh,
User. So well, this is a good time for a quick transition again. Oh God, I did the wrong one. So I want to go back. There we go. All right. So we are doing the first one is free. We need a pilot. So basically, Seth and I think we're pretty well aligned on what this course is, but we want to do a dry run with some wonderful volunteers. So we're opening up the first one 100% free. There's now 8 spots left. So if you're free Friday, April 5th from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, if you're in the UK or Europe, that might be a little late, but it's worth it. Stay up late. It's a Friday, right? Stay up late, rally, have a beer. And to sign up, you're going to go to this website. There's a QR code, so you can just scan it real quick. And then click on the gas online workshop and then just register. We haven't worked it out past that yet. I've noticed that some people have already been registering, so we're gonna work out that last little piece once we get done with this live stream. But the cool thing is, if you missed it in the beginning, I'll go over it a little bit. But it's going to be a 2-hour workshop. It's going to be interactive. We did all of the lesson content pre-recorded, so you can watch it before the class. So you're not just like sitting and being bored, and we're wasting your time with videos. These videos are pretty short. You can watch them on the train, watch them on your break at work, watch them when you wake up in the morning and you're waiting for the coffee to brew. Just to kind of come prepared, understand kind of the basics of gas. And then when you get to the workshop, we're going to build a couple projects together using Gas Companion. And that's the requirements again. I'll go over them real quick. I know people over here at the beginning already heard this, but you need to have a basic understanding of blueprints. Nothing too crazy. If you've gone through at least half of my blueprints course on YouTube, you have more than enough knowledge. Just, we don't want people that are fresh to Unreal Engine trying to get into this. It'll definitely be a little bit overwhelming. Understand a little bit of C++. We're not going to be writing like pure C++ classes, but we are going to be doing some work in C++. So you at least need to be able to like understand how the classes are set up and how Unreal Engine specifically uses C++. And then we'll do some light scripting, but nothing crazy. It's mostly going to be like copy paste, change a few letters type stuff. Understand some basic design patterns. Again, I cover a lot of this in my blueprints course. So if you've done that, you should have everything you need. And then we're going to be providing some project files. You don't need to buy Gas Companion to go through the course, but as we said, it's highly recommended. It's an amazing plugin, and the project files will not work if you don't have Gas Companion. Hey, Hajime79 is now following. Thank you.
Nice.
And yeah, we hope to see you there, Mr. Indigo.
Yeah.
You,
Um.
yeah. So head to the website, sign up for the class. There's now no more bookings, so 8 spots still available. It's free. Just do it. You got 2 hours of your life, right? Learn about gas. All right.
um. Yeah. Yeah. And again, just to clarify, I actually started learning Unreal Engine basically coinciding with Gas. I did a lot with Jim at the start.
Right.
Um. Uh. But quickly moved into Gas, and that's like actually where I learned all the design frameworks and stuff. So it's definitely doable. The things you need to know to be super specific with blueprints. Oh, the cost of the Gas Companion plugin, I think it's like, I don't know, like $50, maybe like 20 on sale, something like that.
Yeah. It's worth
Um,
it. 100% worth
yeah,
it.
and this is going to be the first workshop in a series of probably 3 workshops. First one's going to be basic stuff. Second one's going to be like pretty advanced setups in certain areas of Gas, and the third one's going to be more advanced setups in other areas of Gas. And hopefully by the end you'll be like, okay, I get the tools, the design flow, the architecture. Hopefully it'll be super clear that for whatever game you're making, you'll now have the tools to do it very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the we're not sure about the price for the workshop after the free stuff is done, and that's part of what we're trying to figure out. But um, for all 3 workshops together, we're not thinking definitely not more than like hundreds of dollars. Definitely not in that ballpark. Um, but yeah, the goal is that we would have enough people sign up that we can kind of
Yeah.
like help each other. Like if you guys could learn Gas and we could all build plugins that like work together, then like we can have this little community of people who
Yeah.
help each other build games faster. I think is like a dream.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm trying to teach mostly so I can have other people to work with.
It's a little bit
That
so.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the thing with the cost of it is like Seth's put a lot of work into this. We want to make sure that it's worth our time as well, but we don't want to like cost people out of the market. This isn't something that's like going to be crazy. It's basically going to be like, you're just kind of paying for a little bit of our time and the time that we've already invested into it. So, I don't think anyone's going to be made rich off of this. I mean, if we were, that'd be sweet, but like that's not why we're doing it. We just want to make sure that we're kind of getting a little bit back for the work that we've put in. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be crazy. But really we're
Yeah.
hoping that this first class can kind of help us identify what is a good, market price for something like this. And yeah, so the only way that's going to work is if people sign up, you show up to the class and you do the work, and then you can tell us at the end like this was worth $5,000 easy,
Yeah. Yeah. Never gonna charge that much. But yeah, ideally, like I'm a tutor, and that's how I make my money to support my game dev journey. It's like I tutor, on the side. And so I get paid regularly, like $50 to $75 an hour for like AP Physics and things like that. Um, that is like outside the price range of what I would really want to charge.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, you can see posts about people figuring stuff out in Gas, and people will be like, "Oh, I spent 6 hours trying to figure this out, 4 hours trying to figure this out." But I'll show you in like seconds. I'll just
Mm-hmm.
explain how this works and why you should do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's going to be the entire hour, like several hours, is going to be all these design principles and stuff that took me, like collectively many months to figure out. So it's really not hard, and I feel confident I can break it down for you super fast in a way that's digestible and you'll understand.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so maybe we could go back to nice interlude, but I do want to showcase some cool things here. So we have the ability to grant, and I guess we could remove the ability if we wanted to after like a timer or something, but
Mm-hmm.
um, we don't really have to worry about it. Uh, so what I want to do next is showcase stats. I guess we could do, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if you go back to your first person character,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can actually, I'm curious, do the, uh, I think just go to your event graph and on begin play. I can't recall how to do this exactly. So just drag off and say add, create HUD, I think it is, like create widget.
Oh yeah, create
Um,
widget.
yeah, and create widget, and then just bind that to your owning player. So let's just say get a reference to like self, and then can you not get self? This.
Uh,
There it is. Oh, you have to get your controller. My bad.
Oh yeah, that's weird that widgets are.
Yeah, you should probably actually do this on the widget, your player controller, but it doesn't matter.
I always, what's funny is like I always do widgets, like adding and removing them on the game mode, because I don't know why. I just always felt like that makes more sense. But
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, probably not the best way.
And then so go to the class dropdown, and then we're looking for a widget that should already exist. Top left, do WB HUD top left, very bottom one.
Okay.
So this one comes with Gas Companion, and it's hooked to the attribute set. So if you click compile, I'm hoping this will work.
We need to do that,
oh yeah,
right?
add to viewport. Yeah, good call. So just click play.
Oh, look at that.
There it is. Okay, perfect. So so what we can do is click end, and then we want to, okay, we'll make a gameplay effect that sets all of our stats. So this is not necessarily how you should. I'm going to take this opportunity to explain what a gameplay effect is. So if you go to your content drawer, and then you're just going to right click anywhere and then create, I guess you have to go to blueprint class, and we're just going to do a basic gameplay effect. And then, yeah, so just the very top one. All the other stuff we'll explain, but yeah, so do GE for gameplay effect, and then underscore, and then say initial stats, I guess.
Okay.
And then open that up. And then you're going to go to modifier. So this is there's no function in gameplay effects. These are data only blueprint classes. You're not intended to do anything on the event graph or anything like that. You could actually exit out of the event graph if you wanted to, and it's totally fine. Oh, I guess that didn't really. That. There you go. Yeah. So so it's just a data only blueprint. And so you can see on here you have these like different things on this detail panel to the right, and you have this duration policy, you have components, modifiers, stacking type, gameplay cues, etc. So just from the top, we'll go to duration policy. Instant are for things that change values permanently, right? If I take damage, that value is permanently subtracted until I regen it or something like that, right? But it's not like a temporary thing. So you have these different durations, right? You have instant, infinite, and has duration. So instant does damage. You can think about this as things that should change, and then I disregard that I ever have this gameplay effect. I don't care. My health has changed. Now we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Has duration can be for temporary buffs. Like I have a strength of 10. I click has duration, so you can actually click has duration. And then you go to duration magnitude, and you can just say for the scalable float magnitude, you can just type in like 10. There's a bunch of different ways to get this value, but we'll just do like I'm hard coding stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now my strength can increase by whatever for 10 seconds. And then after that 10 seconds, it goes away and resets to its base value. Period. This will actually cause the effect to occur in the same way that an instant effect would occur, but just every like whatever the period is. So if you did like every 1 second, so if you just typed in 1, it would happen one time for the total of 10 seconds. So this is how you do a DOT, right? And that will permanently change your effect. It's not temporary like other duration stuff is. So if you have period, it's like permanently changing. If you don't have period, it will reset at the end of the duration. And you can do all this stuff, yeah. Execute periodic effect on application. So it's like when I first apply, do you want that extra tick at the start, or do you want to wait a full second before damage is done, right? That sort of thing. So yeah, very cool. But what we're going to do is instead of has duration, we're just going to go to infinite. So yeah, the duration policy, infinite. And so what that is like a permanent buff, and you can remove the period. Just put 0. So infinite is like maybe you want an infinite regen. So that would be infinite with a period. But what I use infinite for is to calculate stats. So what you can do is like, for instance, say my health is based off of my character level, my endurance stat, and my like, I don't know, strength stat with different values. Maybe like half my strength stat plus 2 times my endurance, whatever you want. And what I would do is do that math here in an infinite gameplay effect, so that when my strength changes, this gameplay effect will feel that change, right? Or register that change, it'll register that change, and then update all the stats accordingly, right? So all we're going to do here, though, is do some super basic stuff. So if you scroll down, we're going to skip components and just go to modifiers,
Mm-hmm.
click plus, and then hit that drop down. And then for the attribute, you're going to select max health there. And then you're going to do add. And then in the modifier magnitude, you're going to type in, let's say 100. We want our max health to be 100. And then if you, and then I guess that would be, yeah, so that'd be infinite. Okay, perfect. There's some other stuff here that we can skip for now. I don't want to like go too into it because this will be what the purpose of the workshop is, but I'm just going to show how this works. So you can click compile. There's some stuff for like stacking and VFX to be associated. Like if you apply like a burning effect to somebody, what are the VFX associated and the sounds and how should all that work? A lot of complex stuff you can do.
Wow.
Stacking. Real quick, just drop the stacking. It's one of my favorite things at the bottom, stacking. If you do aggregate by, we'll say target, um, you have all this stuff for like the limits, like how many times can this stack? And then if you go to the overflow at the bottom, it's like what happens when you try to go over that? Well, I can like do stuff like apply explosions or whatever, or apply a whole other different damage effect. So like 5 stacks of burning, and if I try to do another, maybe it explodes and does damage to everybody around you. So it's like tons of complex interactions
This is
built into this here.
crazy.
Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine how I would code
How
this like
hard
on my
this would
own.
take forever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they definitely spent a lot of money doing it, you know.
Well,
But
and
yeah,
like it's crazy because it's not just that it would take forever, but you would like the fact that it's you could just program it so individually.
yeah, yeah.
Like
And it's like
it's not
fast.
just like just programming one ability that could do this would take so
Hmm.
long, but this is just like yeah, but you could do 10 of them in an hour. This
Yes,
is
it's
nuts.
multiplicative or like exponential even. Yeah. So like, um, designing new gameplay effects like damage and like for me, the most time-consuming thing has become animations, UI, widgets, that sort of stuff.
Telling you
Actual,
that's always the
yeah.
worst part.
Uh-huh.
Anyone that disagrees with me, I would love like animation is the most tedious and annoying part of game dev.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I
So
like to make games with
designing.
ships because they don't have to have any animations.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, designing a game now, even if it's super complex, is just like, yeah, it's trivial. I mean, this is like your MOBA building kit or your RPG building kit, right? Like
Yeah.
this is the template that everybody wants on the marketplace for like how to buy stuff. Buy Gas Companion, you can do everything, anything and everything.
Yeah.
I am waiting for somebody to come along with a gas like a common UI implementation that assumes the gameplay ability system. That I would love for one of us to
Yeah.
make that. I would totally buy that plugin. Um, but yeah, so okay. So what this gameplay effect is going to do is just add 100 to our health. Now our health starts at 0. That's the default initialization. So and then you should probably remove the stacking. It's not going to matter, but I just don't know. So remove the aggregate by target and go to none.
All right.
Actually, I don't think it would matter at all. But anyway, so you go to your blueprint first person character, go to the class defaults again, and in that little startup window, remember we had like the granted abilities and granted,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, perfect. Now you want to granted effects. So there you go, and then you can click the drop down and do GE initial stats. Now, when you hit compile and you click play, you can see it's 0 out of 100 at the top now,
Wow.
right? So recreate another gameplay effect. I'm gonna see if like how, yeah, like so just create another gameplay effect, and I want you to try to intuit how to do a health regen. So GE, call it health regen.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I don't want to put you
No,
on
no,
the
no.
spot.
Let me try
Okay,
though, because I
yeah.
like. Okay, we Seth and I talked a little bit. Like we talked through what we were gonna do in the stream, but like mostly I was like, I want to be surprised, right? I don't want to
Right.
like know this because I don't have to be like, wow, that's great, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like these are my honest reactions. I've never done this before, but like I
yeah.
think what I want to
Does this be
modify it
a
first, right? Because
yes?
I want to
You want a
modify the
modifier?
health or current
Health?
health, right? Health.
Yeah.
Or there's already a health regen rate, but let's just do health.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. So go to
um,
your modifier magnitude now.
magnitude.
Yeah. So you could click attribute based, right? If you so I'm gonna show real quick, yeah, and then drop that down. You could actually set your backing attribute. There's another drop down. Yeah, it's a little buried in there, but that's okay. And then you can actually click your health regen rate. So your health regen rate can be a number that is then used here, and you can modify your health regen rate. But instead of doing that, go from attribute based. We're just gonna do at the top up a little bit. There you go. Just do scalable float again, and do a regen rate of I don't know, like 25, I guess, 25 HP per second or
Here.
something. Yeah, yeah. So you do 25. Now the duration, right? This is gonna be a permanent thing. So at the very top is the duration policy. It's gonna be
Infinite.
permanent forever.
Oh.
And how often do you want that? Yeah, infinite's good. And if you like hover over stuff, it'll tell you more. And then see that period.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to set how often do you want that 25 health to come back? Every second, half second, 2 seconds, whatever.
2 seconds. That way people would
Okay.
see it. Otherwise, it's too fast, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Seth
then
put me
I
on the
would.
spot.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
And
you're
then
good.
I would click compile. And
then I
then
have
give
to.
that to your. Huh? Yes. Good. 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 You have to grant that to your character too.
Oh, could we grant it on the rifle when I pick it up?
Yeah, that's actually fine.
All right.
That's a good idea. So just pull off your get ability system component pin. That's your like brain for
Mhm.
everything that you want to do. You just like pull off that and see what's available. If it's not there, you have to do some bespoke stuff.
Play effect.
So yeah,
Give,
apply gameplay. Oh yeah.
apply. Give.
So you're gonna want one of those top two.
Okay.
So or those not top. This third and fourth one. Apply gameplay effect to
Self.
target. I guess.
It says target.
Yeah. Actually, either works. It doesn't matter here. Um, target is for somebody else's gameplay effect or somebody else's ability system. Um, do self. Yeah, do self.
Whoa. What's
Not
this?
spec. Sorry.
Oh.
So spec is like So what a spec is like an instance of the class. So you want to apply gameplay effect to self right there, and that's the class. And then you just yep, there you go. Spec is like for when I let's say I make my gun right, and I'm firing off bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want all the information to be generated in my gameplay ability, and then what I can do is create a spec, which is a specific instance of that gameplay effect. It's this particular damage, this particular health regen, and I can carry that little handle around to apply it to things and snapshot my attributes. This is important if I throw a fireball and then I get a buff after before my fireball explodes, but after I threw it, I don't want my fireball damage to be increased. I don't want that.
Right, because it was that one. That one already.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So spec is like specific is like maybe an easy way you could think about it,
Okay.
right? And so you can even create them and then change them. So like you have your health regen class right here, but you
Mhm.
can pull off that handle and then like with the that's actually will be an active handle. So you could create a spec and then change like at runtime dynamically. I want to add some tags. I want to change some stuff, change the duration, whatever you want, dynamically. So that's also what specs allow you to do. It's like you make an instance of it and then you edit it after, just like you
Wow.
would for a class.
Very
Like
cool.
yeah. So now you can just click compile and
All right,
run it.
so I have no health. There's no regen. I'm gonna run over this. Oh
One,
yeah.
two,
What the
one,
hell?
two,
This is
one,
nuts.
two. Yep, super easy, right? Yeah, and so now you have stats. We could do something very similar where you make a damage gameplay effect and you just
Mhm.
subtract your health.
All right, so
There's some additional stuff people do, but
I'm gonna make
yeah.
a new actor, right? Blueprint class actor, BP damage.
Yeah, just make like a little box.
Box. Oh. Cube. Why
I guess
is
you have
there-
to turn actually just make a collision box, right? And you can just do the
Oh
debug
yeah,
lines.
yeah. Why would I go through all this work? Collider.
Yeah. I think just box collision is
Yeah.
there it is. Perfect. And then I think you can make a like seeable in game as like a tab or something, or like an
Yeah,
option.
it's over here, hidden.
And then you want to make sure the line thickness is like, I don't know, 10 or something.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know if that's
Oh,
actually
that's
matters.
too much. There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah.
try this. BP damage. All right. But
I
now,
think it might be bigger because
yeah.
I don't know how it works. Your arms are the thing that need to be touched, I guess, right? So
Let's
because you're just
go
floating arms.
100.
So yeah, there you go. That's probably good. Perfect. And then maybe it doesn't matter if you elevate or not. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that looks good. And then
Sorry, I'm
on the
such a pain.
no, you're good. You're good.
All right. So now
Perfect.
here, I'm just gonna
On
go
your
here and
event
cheat.
graph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. That's fine.
On collision. I want to copy all this.
Yeah.
I just need this one, right? I guess I do.
You just do the whole thing and then delete the game ability after. Yeah, there you go.
Just registered. Awesome. Can't wait to see you there, man.
Nice. And then is
Class
valid.
is filling up. Yep. And then this, but now we need a new gameplay effect, right?
Yeah. Perfect.
I feel like I would never ever ever make a game without this.
Dude, no, seriously, same. Like people talk about not using gas or even using like, and no offense to other ability systems, there's others I've seen that are super cool in the marketplace, right? Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But it's kind of like going with like some like random game engine versus Unreal. It's like Unreal's just so much more accessible, if that makes
Right.
sense. I'm sure there's better designs out there other than gas. I'm sure there are things out there that exist that like would blow gas, well, maybe not out of the water, but would be like comparable and like very good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not gonna do that though. So, I'm not gonna do that. You also want to do minus. So you had add
Oh
10.
yeah, minus 10.
So you just make it negative 10. Yeah.
All right.
There's also some additional designs that people typically do where they use like what's called instead of doing health, you like do damage attribute, but we're not gonna worry about it. So this is fine.
And a damage
Uh,
would like, okay, because then it's not
you
tied to that.
Yeah, so then you could see what to do with the damage first. Like should it go to shields, but this is directly affecting your health.
Okay. I
So you
mean, it's
see,
happening pretty quick, but it's
yeah,
there. Let's
it
do
like step out
-10.
really quick, like go in and out very fast. Because I think you were walking in just by happenstance when your regen was ticking. So
Mhm.
it like, yeah, yep. So damage is working.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and we can do some stuff when your health attribute, like for instance in my game, when my health attribute goes below 0, I call the die function, and my die function causes my character to like ragdoll and
Hmm.
disappear after like 5 seconds, self-destruct. Actually, I just added limb dismemberment, which is super fun too.
Nice.
Um, yeah, it makes the game way more fun. But yeah, so that's the basics of gameplay effects, changing attributes, etc. Um, and there's a whole lot you can do with gameplay effects. So if you click, go to your let's say damage, your damage. Oh yeah, you're on it. So go to components. Um, actually go to your source tags. If you
Source.
scroll down, sorry,
Okay.
yeah. So just go down a little bit, up,
Oh, here.
down. Yeah, there it is. Source tags. So what that's saying is only do this if I have these tags or don't have these other tags. So go to must have, not have, the drop down below it, right there, that one, and then do a plus. So what we're doing here is we're just creating a gameplay tag. This is not part of gas. It's almost like a prereq, but it's pretty easy. And then just do like a status dot invincibility, and you want to make sure there's a period there. I can't actually see if is
Yeah,
there a period?
status dot
Okay.
invincibility.
And then in that source, you want to click the So go back to the
Oh
try it
god,
again.
I broke it. Oh.
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Everything's done. Everything's done. Yeah. So same thing plus status dot invincibility, and then see that source. You can have like a comment, but then below that it says source. Um,
Yeah.
you're just gonna use default. Yeah, default. And then click add new tag. And then now that it's added, you want to check mark it. There you go. That the source you can have it set up so it's like different plugins can have their own gameplay tags that come with them. So
Mhm.
like I can have this as like like in Fortnite for instance, maybe you have like the is I don't know, I think they just added like Greek gods or something to their recent pack,
Oh
something
god,
like that.
that game is off the
Yeah,
rails.
yeah. So you can have like is Zeus, and if you have the is Zeus tag, do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that could be in a plugin.
All
Okay,
right.
so now that we have
So
this,
there's a question.
yeah,
Can you touch on how to apply gas to AI? I think we'll do that in the course, right?
yes, yeah, we will do that in the course. Long story short, same thing that you do with the characters here, but in your behavior trees, you'll just say like fire off gameplay ability of this class.
Mm-hmm.
So when my character goes to attack, I just instead of like calling an interface function, you just say call this gameplay ability, and then you give that character the so like for instance, I have all my melee characters have the same logic. They run up and they do their melee ability, and so I have a little blueprint or sorry behavior tree like node task thing that says like basically use my melee gameplay ability, and every creature has its own gameplay ability in that slot. So it's very like I have the same behavior tree for everything, but then I can customize my enemies and have it all be like super custom. So enemy one's gameplay ability functions totally different than enemy two's. Enemy one might like dash forward and then swing and attack and blah blah blah. Enemy two might like do a front flip and then land and deal damage that way. And all the stats can be different, but the behavior tree is the same because it doesn't care. It's like you have some gameplay ability and it's called we have a tag associated with it and it's like I don't know AI.melee, right? Something like that. And so you can reference these gameplay tags in like a loosely coupled way that way. So it's
Nice.
super easy. I think it's like yeah, much easier to do AI this way, I personally feel.
Nice.
Um
Very cool.
okay.
I mean, do you even need
So
behavior trees anymore then? Because I
I
hate
hate
behavior trees.
yeah, no, I hate them too. I actually swapped to using something called Utility AI, and there's a plugin I got called Easy Utility AI. I'm still testing it out, but
Nice.
I did a lot of like machine learning stuff in my like day job, I guess, a while ago. So I just yeah, a
Just
lot more
subtle drop
fond of
machine learning.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
just
No,
do a little
um,
machine learning, you know.
the workflow of utility AI design makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah. I hate
But
the
that'll be
behavior
a
trees. I use all
yeah,
my
dude.
I program my AI in event graphs, and people are like,
Yeah,
"Why are you
exactly.
doing that?" And I'm like, "Cause behavior
Yeah,
trees are garbage."
yeah, I agree. It's like too constrained for very simple stuff, sure, but like yeah, I'm fond of
Hmm.
other stuff.
Yeah. No,
Um,
that's cool.
but okay, so what we just did was say if you must not have the tag status invincibility for this to work,
Hmm.
right? So click compile, run through it again, show that it still works. We added this tag, but you know,
But the
our
player
character
doesn't
just
have this tag.
yeah, yeah,
Yep. I can still take
perfect.
some damage.
Yep, you still take damage. So now what you can do is make another box. You can actually just maybe
Oh,
that
yeah.
yeah, you just like assign instance editable, I guess, for the
Ooh. I,
actually we could just do a BP rifle. Uh so what you're gonna want to do is um so let's do this. Let's make another box called the invincibility box.
all right.
You could also just like yeah, duplicate your BP damage and then just change what's inside. Normally, correct design would be like you have BP overlap actor, and then you set the gameplay effect to be a variable and instance editable, but it doesn't matter. Um, and then make another gameplay effect for invincible.
All right. Oh god. All right. Got it.
And then open that up. And then in the components section, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to drop down right there. So now, as a 5.3, if you're using earlier versions of Unreal Engine, like 5.2, 5.1, etc., they won't have this anymore. So some tutorials are outdated. But most of the stuff has been relegated to these components, and this is like a framework that Unreal Engine is using like everywhere. Mass uses it, all this sort of stuff, right? So what these are like little modular pieces of logic that you can include in your gameplay effect. Not all of them need this, so not all of them have it. You just choose which ones have what. You can design your own custom components, and we'll go over that. I use a custom one for UI purposes. So like my gameplay effect has information on what to display on the UI built into the gameplay effect itself. It's one place for everything. Um, so what we're going to do is you can go down to target tag. Actually, no, maybe it's let me see. Go to just hover over target tags. I'm forgetting. That one. Handles
Handle.
granting tags to the target. Yeah, so you want to click that one. And what this does now, you can click the drop down, and then you can actually add the tag, and then do added, and add invincibility. So now this gameplay effect, this invincible gameplay effect, will apply the invincibility tag. And then
And
you
we
can
could
just
set
click
a duration. So
yes.
we can
So
make
I
like
would set a duration.
The Mario invincibility star.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I would actually do duration and do a duration of maybe like I don't know 3 seconds or five. Let's do 5 seconds.
Is it a period or what is this one?
Um,
What are the difference
that's
between
the
these two again? I can't remember.
yeah. So the scalable float magnitude on top is the actual how long it's lasting.
Okay.
Period is how often it's doing the modifier or the executions. Like how
Mm,
often is it doing the stuff?
okay.
So in this case, we're not doing anything other than giving a tag, so we don't have a period. 0 means nothing happens at all. So yeah, so you're good to go. You just leave that blank most of the time.
Okay.
So
So
that's maybe let's set it for like 5 seconds actually.
5 seconds.
Yeah, and then you can compile, and then go to your
Mhm.
health regen, and let's go to health. Yeah, there you go. And then let's set that period to be like a quarter second, like 0.25. And then let's set that down to like I don't know 5, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. And then now we can go back to make another box, and then you want to set that class there. Yeah. So a designer could go and make one thing that like handles all the application and stuff, right? Because this will apply, but it will never remove. Uh, so if you wanted to do like burning and there's like some semi complex flows in there, but it's okay.
So the green box is going to make us invincible, and the red box is going to hurt us.
Perfect.
All right. So now I'll get my rifle. I'll start
Yep.
regenerating some health, and when I go into here, I take some damage. But if I go through the green and then through the red,
Did you still take damage?
yeah. What did I do wrong?
Let's
probably
make
this.
sure.
So this looks right.
Invincible. All right, status invincibility. What we can do is, let's check. So go to your first person. So we'll use the handy dandy debugger component.
Nice.
Or sorry, that actual map itself.
Oh, here.
Yeah, and then click play. And then
Oh,
click,
you want this one?
yeah, that's fine. And then do your console window. Or sorry, your tilde key, or what do they call it again?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, and then do show debug, one word, space, ability system, space. So this is useful all the time. So you can see on the left, it actually tells you like owned tags, like near the bottom, tells you your location, all this kind of stuff too. But at the very bottom, it says owned tags, and even tells you your health, right? So your health, even your max health, it tells you what gameplay effect is currently affecting your max health. It says base 0, none, additive, 100, default, GE, initial stats, right? Pretty cool stuff. Go over the green box and just sit in it. Okay, so you're definitely getting the invincibility. Now walk into the box again, or try walking in the box. Now step out. Okay, so you're definitely getting the tag. Now, so that means that it must be in the damage, GE damage itself. So let's look at the damage and make sure we applied that appropriately, because you definitely have the tag.
GE damage.
Okay,
But
so
it
now we
would
can go
be
to,
in here, right?
yeah.
Must not have.
So try target tags. Try putting that in target tags. Must.
All right.
Play.
Let's do this. Stat debug.
Show debug. Show debug.
Oh, show debug. Show
Yeah.
debug ability system.
Yeah. I usually do these things in C++, in like the damage and stuff. So
Right.
I'm not
So
sure what
I
I'm
got
missing here.
health, and it's at 100. And then when I go here, I still took damage.
Still took damage. Now you have the tags. Let's check one more time. Go back to the. because yeah, you definitely have the tag.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Modifiers. Put it in both.
You want to do it like this?
Yeah, just put it in both and see. And then let's also look at source tags, target tags. Go back to your box. Let's just take a look at how that's.
This one? No, the other one, the damage one, right?
Yeah. So apply gameplay effect to self. So you're definitely, it should be source tags. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're missing here. Go to effect context, and then pull out.
Nope.
No. You
Yeah,
would
I
have
think
to
it's
like
just
make.
empty.
Yeah, so you can go from your ability system component, I think, and then do make context. Or just type in context and see if that's effect context. Make effect context. Yep. And then do add tag or pull that out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, plug that in. Plug that effect context in. Yeah. And then click compile.
See if this works. All right.
Yeah,
So
I
got some
usually
help.
apply them from C++, so that's why I'm a little.
All right.
Now
So I
just
have
walk through.
invincibility, and I still took damage. Mother.
Still took damage.
Anyway.
I'm not sure what's going wrong here, but
Yeah.
there is this functionality in there.
We
Yeah.
got.
So I don't want to.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I don't want to
yeah,
spend
yeah.
too much time. Yeah.
But still, like I think the point is like, okay, something that took us like 2 seconds to program, right? We had to make a gameplay effect, and we could just add this crap in here, and then wow. So we got the
Yeah.
tag, and then basically something's up with this. That
Yeah,
shouldn't be
something's
doing
up.
damage.
Um,
But
yeah.
no, this is really cool.
Yeah. And so I use this a lot for like temporary buffs. So like in my own game, I can show it working if we wanted. But yeah, so I use this a lot for buffs. So like I'll have like must-have tag, like stunned. So
Mm-hmm.
then my gameplay ability will deal more damage to the enemy when they're stunned.
Right.
So I'll have like boosts and things like that. I think it also might be something to do with the fact that it's instant and not like permanent. But
Right.
again, I'm not totally sure. So yeah, normally I do all this from C++ side, and like things just look a little different. And I have like one function I built like 6 months ago that I just use for everything, and I just change like tags and stuff like that. So
Yeah, this is really neat. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like already I'm just whoa, I took a lot of damage.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure why that's not working at the moment. I have to like, if I could like control your
Yeah.
screen, it would be nice to double
No,
check some
no, no,
stuff.
no, yeah. I mean, we don't want to
But,
debug on stream, but
right.
I think people, hopefully get the gist of what this can do. I think it's super powerful. We got like 9 minutes, so I just want to go over again. We could just do kind of what we did at the beginning, but I'll just go over like what the course is going to be. So as we said, we're going to be using Gas Companion. It's a plugin. It's not free, but I promise you it's worth every penny. A lot of what we've been doing on the stream are things that are in Gas Companion so that you would have to program yourself. So we're going to be using this for the course. We talked about it at the beginning of the stream if you want to go back, but we kind of debated back and forth whether this should even be part of it. We looked at like Lyra. Well, I say we. It was mainly Seth. But kind of just some different ways to do this. We at the end of the day, I think that this is probably the best solution for anyone that wants to use gas in general. Yeah. And then as far as like what's in the course, so it's going to be a mixture of like pre-recorded content that you can go and watch ahead of time. Whenever you got like a few minutes, watch one of the videos. This is just going to help kind of get you prepared for the course, for the workshop. There's going to be a 2-hour workshop. We're going to be building some projects together. You have opportunities to ask questions real time, which I think is an important part of like online learning that's really missing is like I'm taking an online class right now for college. And if I get stuck, I just like have to email the instructor and hopefully he gets back to me at some point before the assignments due. Or like a lot of times when you're learning through YouTube or through Udemy or one of these places, like if you get stuck, you got to go to their Discord. You got to figure out like maybe someone's already asked the question. Sometimes if they're jerks, they'll be like, "Oh, read the things like it's already in there. We've already answered this," But yeah, there's also going to be one of the things I get asked for a lot is like, hey, can I get like a document that's PDF or something that I could search? Because when I need to remember something, I don't have to go back and like figure out what video is that in, and like then I got to search for it. If we're going to have like a written trainee guide that's going to be searchable that you can reference at any time if you need like a refresher on something. And then we're going to be doing this all through Discord. So there's going to be a special Discord role where you can gain access to the content. You can talk to the other people that are in the course with you, collaborate together. If you get stuck, you can help each other out. And this is where we're going to be running all of the classes. So, again, what you should do, you should have a basic understanding of blueprints, a little bit of C++ knowledge, not a lot, just some basic scripting. And then if you want access to the course content, you need the Gas Companion. Otherwise, the projects won't work for you.
Yeah. And
ahead.
walking away from this, just to be super clear, there is some documentation available, and so one's called Tranic. We can link that in the Discord here a little bit
Yeah,
later.
for sure.
And the goal is that like when you look at these things, the framework for when you read about a gameplay ability or a gameplay effect, like it can be overwhelming at times to understand how that concept relates to every other concept, right? Like, is what I'm reading some niche thing that doesn't really matter a lot, or is it something I'm going to be doing every single project?
Right.
Our goal here is to actually break that down for you so that you can be very comfortable in understanding what's niche, what goes where, how does what relates to what, in a way that's very like designer friendly. Um, it's not to be like, we're not claiming to give you stuff that you can't do on your own. We're just claiming that we can do it a little bit faster than you can probably do on your own. Because it took me forever, and it really did not need to take me that long if I had somebody walk me through it in the way that I know that I
Right.
needed.
Yeah.
And so we will also, yeah, like Jim was saying, we will have documentation, but it'll be for a lot of like implementation related stuff. Tranex documentation on GitHub is like going to be the final resource for a lot of stuff. But there are things there that I think could be expanded on. So like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to implement this kind of gameplay ability or this kind of system, right? I want to do a special cost or duration that's dependent on stats. How do I do that, right? Like, what should I do? And so we'll have like a list of those kinds of implementations. We'll probably also make like little short videos on them and stuff too, like little TikTok videos or something, on how to like set that up very quickly, assuming that you're using Gas Companion. And here's the buttons you click, here's the numbers you change, and you're good to go. So
Yeah.
it'll be a lot of references for like fast implementations of things.
Yeah. No, this is really cool. Yeah. So, as it says here, we're going to do a pilot. This is 100% free. There's a few spots left. I've been getting emails about people signing up. So if you haven't signed up, go sign up for this course. This is probably the only time it will be free. After that, we're going to take your money. But yeah,
That's bad.
so we're going to do a pilot session Friday, April 5th, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. So for you in the UK or Europe, it might be a little late. For those of you on the west coast of the US, it's probably going to be maybe around the time you're getting out of work for the day, depending on what your schedule is. But hopefully you can make time for this. It's a Friday afternoon. It'll be free. If you want to sign up, like I said, there's some spots left. Go to my website, jimdouglas.com. There's a QR code for you to scan. You can select services and then book now. There's a Gas Companion service. Sign up by filling out the registration form, and then you're booked, and that's all you got to do for now. And then we're going to figure out some of the details in the next few days of how to get people into this. So that's pretty much 2 hours, like exactly. I think we did pretty good.
Nice. Yeah.
Any last things you want to add?
No, just that the workshops will be a lot like this, a lot faster because some of the videos will cover some of those intro things, like how to add ability sets and abilities and attributes and stuff. And we'll just be going through some of those implementations, like making a gun shoot and do stuff from scratch, and how can I reuse that same code in like the ship and do something a little different, but from there. And then we'll go into a little bit more like details on how to make this super scalable and to do some really cool things. So a lot of modular game design, very good architecture, that kind of stuff. For reference, a lot of these things I learned from people who have like blogs on gas and stuff like that. And they were teaching me, telling me this is very advanced, hard to understand. I'm pretty sure I could teach you guys that in like minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that.
Hmm.
So think of me as somebody who has kind of done all the legwork, and I'm bringing back a super summarized information for you, like the ultimate research intern or something like that.
I
That's
love
kind of
it.
how the
That's
workshops are going to
amazing.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I think this is going to be really fun. I hope that people can get a lot out of it. I've also just really got a lot about just doing this stream with you, and I'm actually excited for the course too because I'm going to learn a lot and then go back
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
basically remake every game I've ever made ever because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm never not making a game in gas ever again, basically.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and I'm
Um,
definitely looking forward to being able to work with, like, once more people learn this. I mean, I'd be happy to make a game with others and like
yeah.
continue in a sort of like a peer-to-peer relationship. It's not going to be hard to get to the point where I'm at. And so, once you get there, then my goal is to get you guys to the point where you don't need my help anymore.
Hmm.
It's like a bad business model, but like I want you guys to be equals with me so that we can then work together. So,
Yeah,
um,
definitely. And that brings me to a good point. We are kind of developing this community on Discord. There's already over 100 people now in there. So a lot of cool people you can interface with. We're going to be running the gas course through the Discord. So if you're not already in there, you're going to have to join. I put a link in the YouTube. I'll also put one in the Twitch. But join the Discord. There's a lot of really cool people in there. A lot of people that showed up in the stream today are from the Discord. So really, trying to help each other, trying to build each other up, and hopefully make some cool stuff together. So I think this is a really good kind of first step to that. And yeah, Seth, I've known you now for I think over a year,
yeah, almost
and
two.
yeah, it's been crazy. But yeah, I really appreciate you putting this together. I really appreciate you letting me be part of it, and using the community that we've already been building together to show off this course. So thank you so much for streaming with me today. This has been a lot of fun. I actually kind of liked having the company, so we might have to do this again.
I'm super down. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, if you haven't joined the Discord, feel free to do that. If you want to learn some blueprints, I do have a free blueprints course. It's 100% free on YouTube, and the course, the gas course, you can register it for it on my website, and there's still a few spots left. So if you haven't already got in there, go head to their website now and join up. But yeah, thank you so much, Seth. I really appreciate you.
Of course. Yeah. Take care, everybody.
All right, thanks.